morning, all of you. Morning. Hope you remember the current affairs, right? The basics I told you, current affairs can be classified into two styles. One is your static part, the other one is events. So events are not so important. Events are like one-off events. Okay. Whereas you don't have a single source for static part. Within current affairs, we can easily segregate 150 topics, and those 150 topics will be repeatedly asked. And if a question comes, it will come from those areas. For example, yesterday I have asked you about Kashmir map, right? So if you remember, everyone have their own map in their mind. Okay. Yes or no? When I say Kashmir map, you must have thought something you seen in Wikipedia or something you have seen somewhere else. But the simple advantage is if you take 15-20 images and if you make a notes out of it, you can save them in a particular place. So every time when I think of Kashmir, if I see the same map, this particular map, okay, what is the advantage? Just like Lakshmikant, see, when I say polity, when I say fundamental rights, where do your mind go? It goes into Lakshmikant, your own book, your highlights. You'll remember it a lot of times. But Kashmir, Atlas. You may go to Atlas, okay, or one time you see it in Vision material or some other material. The other time you see in Hindu paper, the other time you see in some random newspaper article or some clip like this. So 10 times you have seen Kashmir in 10 different images. But if you have one fixed image, okay, the advantage is recollection. So till now you have focused on the macro thought process of prelims, mains. Okay, Kashmir issue, what, when, how, what will be the trivialities. Now prelims is all about trivial details. There is no such thing as small detail. Every detail you have to remember. So my suggestion is from now onwards, whatever you do, you consolidate. Consolidation is very, very, very important. National Food Security Act. Don't roam to 10,000 places. Have one source for National Food Security Act, whatever that source is. Okay. If you have read a particular institute's monthly magazine, if you have the Xerox, tear it. Tear off those two papers, keep it at one place. Okay. In June, I have read the National Food Security Act, June of monthly current affairs. Tear those two papers, spiral book anyhow, right? Easy to tear. Put it in one place. Okay. Then Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, to tear it, put it under one place. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you is have one source, just like Lakshmikant, even for current affairs. Randomness is not going to help you because crystal clear clarity is expected from you in static part or current affairs also. Okay. So that should help you. Now, yesterday we have discussed the same parts. I don't want to discuss the same again. But all of you can see the pictorial differentiation, right? Imagining in mind is one thing, seeing it in reality is whole different thing. Siachen Glacier, Ladakh, Jammu, Kashmir. Yes. Where is Kargil? In Ladakh.
Intersection point.
This?
No, sir. Little off.
This?
Yes, sir.
This page?
Yes.
Somewhere here.
Yes, sir. There.
That is Kargil. Kargil is also a part of Ladakh, right? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Kargil is also a part of territory in Ladakh. Leh?
Right side, sir.
This area?
Yes. No. Little down.
This? Okay.
Like near Ladakh. Yes.
Okay, near Ladakh is Leh. Sure.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Right. So continuation of Gilgit-Baltistan, CPEC economic corridor. China and Pakistan has recently announced economic corridor again. I mean, they are updating the existing CPEC, China-Pakistan economic corridor. Obviously, you know, it passes through what? China-Pakistan economic corridor passes through which part of this? Gilgit-Baltistan, not anything else. Obviously, it is passing through Gilgit Baltistan. So if China is drawing a line through this like Gwadar Port, Chabahar Port, Dalaram, Zaranj Highway, all these things you know. Chabahar Port, you know?
Iran.
Yes? Yes or no? Chabahar Port, you know? Strait of Hormuz? Nearby only. Gwadar? What is the port in Pakistan?
Karachi.
Gwadar is in Pakistan. Yes or no? Karachi, Gwadar, Chabahar. Extension to Chabahar is next is Strait of Hormuz. So it's a very important choke point. It is one of the important choke points. Like this, you have to remember. So again, what I'm trying to tell you is have one source, one particular image. If you find one particular monthly magazine has covered all these things nicely, just to take those 2 pages and keep it at one place. Like this, if you can compile your own material, what will happen? Just like Lakshmikant, even in your current affairs, you will be master. Why? Repeating the same things again and again, revising multiple times, and it will fetch you marks. All the trivial idiotic data is not at all important. Okay. So I'll try to see. You have to remember, and what is the logic between the triviality also. For example, Operation Ahat. Recently, it has been announced. It was in the news. Okay, this is related to human trafficking. Do you think a prelims question will come on this particular topic? There are 5 points, right, in my notes. I have added 5 points in my notes. As a fresher, what do you think the question will be on?
Which ministry is implementing this?
Then
Is Ahat allocated budget under gender budget allocation?
You can ask if it is a central sector scheme or a
Central
scheme.
sponsored scheme.
Anything else? Okay, so like this, 100 topics will be there. Every other day, government has announced 1,000 things. Do you think humanly possible you will remember all the ministries? Or the funding mechanism, right? Or or the trivialities. See, these are events. These are one-off things, right? Human trafficking. So, as I told you, 40 to 45 questions in UPSC will be in ABCD in nature. Forward question. Recently, Project Ahat was in the news, or Operation Smile was in the news related to Operation Smile. Yes, our pencil portal was in the news related to. So that ABCD kind of questions are higher in such kind of things because there are thousands of such things. Okay, if UPSC will ask you ministry, funding mechanism and all those things, it will be probably a center sector scheme or a central sponsored scheme. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Okay, if you take Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, there are higher chances that I will ask ABCD. Sorry, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 only, 1 and 3 only, such kind of questions. Okay, but when you see such event-based questions, probability is it will be straightforward question. Do you know or you don't? Okay, so there is no point in remembering all the trivialities in such places. So that thought process is important for you. Please understand that. Okay, see what is there? It's a human trafficking scheme. It is implemented by railways. It is not the first scheme. We have earlier also discussed it during facial recognition. Yes or no? Facial recognition is useful for identifying human trafficking cases. I have discussed the same. Okay, now let's see CPEC, China Pakistan Economic Corridor. Any prelims questions will come? See, again, you can use this in what? Mains answer writing. What are the steps taken by government for social justice, helping the vulnerable sections, and all those things you can write. Operation Ahat helping the human trafficking. Human trafficking is a huge problem in the country. Yes, a lot of women, children are trafficked. That is a social evil, moral problem, right? So we are trying to solve it through technology by taking the help of railways. So it can be, it is something that you remember organically. There is no mugging up needed. Now, new CPEC. So China and Pakistan have announced new China-Pakistan economic corridor. Any prelims questions?
On which areas does it pass?
Mm-hmm.
You can ask about the rivers it may encounter
Mm-hmm.
or the important Everest peaks it can ask.
Mm-hmm. Does it cross through all these things? Or simply, does it pass through Karakoram range?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you remember the 4 ranges?
Yes, sir.
Do you?
Karakoram, Pir Panjal.
Karakoram, Zaskar, Ladakh,
Hmm.
and then Peak.
Pir Panjal. In the same order. From north to south. Arrange those 4 in the north to south or south to north. Okay. So again, it has nothing to do with CPSC. It has more to do with your geography NCRT. You should not worry about the triviality that might come from CPSC. What is the bench? Should have a pan-India influence, and it should be something affecting. That means it should be discussed a lot. Editorials, opinions. It's a huge issue. As of now, no. We have discussed more about Ukraine rather than CPC because CPC is already existing. All they are doing is extending it to special economic zones. Okay, so again, we can ignore it more or less, but it helps us in revising our geography part. Now, PM cares. It was in the news recently. In the last
Audit report.
audit report came. So the question is Comptroller and Auditor General of India auditing the PM cares fund?
No, sir.
It's not?
No.
Okay, sure.
Yes, sir.
PM relief fund is audited by Comptroller and Auditor General.
Yes.
Yes.
PM relief fund. There are 2 funds, PM relief fund. Okay, then there is PM cares. PM cares is something that was launched during COVID pandemic. PM relief fund was launched during partition refugees. By Nehru during partition refugees. So it is an old fund. This is a new fund. So which of them is audited by Comptroller and Auditor General of India? Okay. Both of them are not audited. Which one? So it is obviously audited by Comptroller and Auditor General. Next, if I give funds to PM cares, if I give fund to PM care under my corporate social responsibility, is it okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It gets ADG tax exemption.
ATG is different. Corporate social responsibility is different. ATG is for individuals. Corporate social responsibility is totally different. So what I'm trying to tell you is, when you see PM cares fund, okay, you need to remember 3 or 4 trivial points. Triviality. Macro theme is what? PM cares is to help people. Mains question is what, or where will you use it? In a democracy, funds are supposed to be transparent and accountable. Every rupee that is coming into a fund and every rupee that is going out of a fund should be accountable and transparent. That is macro theme. But for prelims, how will you see it? You will see it like this. What are the things that you are going to see? It is entirely voluntary fund for individuals or organizations, and there is no budgetary support for PM cares. That means not a single rupee of Indian budget is coming or flowing into PM cares fund, but it is funded through individual organizations. Number 2, corporate social responsibilities. That means if you give money to PM cares, it is considered as CSR for that year for you. Okay, so you don't have to do any other activity for your company. All you have to do is transfer the entire money to PM cares, and for that year your CSR quota is done. Okay, it is not audited by CAG. It also have 100% exemption for ATG. So these are the 4 trivialities that you have to remember. So remembering everything about PM cares is useless. If a question comes, it should come in these lines. What are they? CSR, ATG, voluntary, no budgetary support, and no CAG audit. Okay, so UPSC will ask you what is not there. or what is there. So such trivial, minute detail is very, very essential for prelims. In the exam hall, you should not even think as a discussion. No CAG, yes. That is the biggest criticism for the entire audit report, right? If you read the audit report article, what is it saying? It will be audited by some third party, private auditor. Okay, not by CAG. Why not CAG? Okay. Next, does CAG send any reports to Parliament?
Yes, sir.
Sends to president.
Send to President. He will table it in the Parliament. Which reports? Any idea?
Expenditure reports. Public account expenditure.
I don't know.
Yeah, and the public account expenditure which took place in a year. After the expenditures incurred, the details are set.
Okay. What is the biggest criticism of CAG?
Postmortem.
It is a post-mortem body. So is Indian CAG a Auditor General or Comptroller and Auditor General?
Auditor General.
It's an Auditor General, but not Comptroller. What is the meaning of the word Comptroller?
Permission granting authority to spend money for anything.
So before spending, if you actually take the permission, then that is Comptroller and Auditor General. Right now, you are only Auditor General. That means if a rupee is to be spent, first if you are asking why, then it makes more sense. What is the point and dissecting after you have done the spending? Okay. There is one more body called as Controller and Auditor General. Have you heard about him? CAG is there. There is Controller and Auditor General. Never heard? No. It is there. Please at least try to go through what he does. Next. Lavanya, party in the college. No? Quality. Who have completed quality? Going on. కాలేదా ముందర కాళ్ళకి బంధం సార్ అడగక ముందు చదవలేదంటే అయిపోయింది. సంతోష్, పాలిటిక్స్ only 60%. Governor chapter done. Narayan, done. So what are the various powers of president and governor in relation to the punishments? Just tell the technical names. Pardon,
Remission, respite,
one more is there. Pardon, reprieve, respite, remission, commute and suspend. Okay. So does he share all the same powers with president?
no sir.
Who have more power?
President.
What are the extra powers of president?
Martial law.
Court.
Power.
Okay. And
Death sentences are
capital punishment. So these two are the extra powers of
president.
president. The rest all are common with governor. Sure.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So that is just like a basic revision for polity. Okay. Now, what is parole and furlough and why is it in the news?
Lalu Prasad Yadav is a parole. So,
Again, he sent it to judicial magistrate.
Payroll is condition based and furlough is not based on any condition.
Furlough is not based on any condition, more or less. Yes. Both of them are only applicable to convicted criminals, unlike bail, which is a rule or a right. Okay. Parole and furlough has nothing to do with the rights of the individual. It will be on the mercy of the issuing authority. Parole is more about conditions, as she was mentioning. Let's say a convict is there, his or her parents or someone, his closer relatives or someone is dying or something like that, a marriage is there. So he wants to attend that. So based on his behavior, the authorities might give him some permission to go and come. That is parole. Whereas furlough is more about maintaining that, the humanity, in the sense, if someone is in the jail for last 10 years, okay, he might lose the touch with the reality, the outside world, right? He's going to be in the jail for 10-15 years, right? He's get furloughed. Okay, it is just to break the monotonousness of the punishment system. In India, we have a restorative justice, right? Not retributive justice system. So Dera Baba is in the news. Lalu Prasad Yadav is in the news. Both the times we have seen the terms parole and furlough. Recently, Justice Chandrachud gave a judgment saying parole is not a right. Parole or furlough are not a right of the convicts. It is not your right. If you want to apply, you can apply. It is a discretion whether to give you the permission or not. It's definitely not a right. So in the same way, you should have crystal clear clarity about what is remission, what is reprieve, what is pardoning. Okay, is it a right? So on and so forth. Okay. Clear? Yes. Again, I want you to remember all these things. Bail is before, parole and furlough is after. If a question comes A, B, what is what? They might give you a definition and they might ask you this applies to what? Bail, remission, parole, furlough. So you should be able to distinguish between all these things crystal clearly. Next, e-rupee, all of you remember? E-rupee. What is e-rupee?
It's a coupon.
So is internet needed for e-rupee, Santosh? Yes, sir. Internet is needed. Okay. Kirtana? E-rupee, never heard. Never, ever. Nemo, chinnappudu eppudanna. Rupee, you know? E-rupee? ఎక్కడా తెలియట్లేదా? ఎక్కడ ఎక్కడ ఆన్లైన్ బ్యాంకింగ్ కి సంబంధించి విన్నారు. శ్రీనివాస్, it does not require internet. Okay, why?
Because it is like a coupon.
It is like a coupon.
Online transaction.
Okay, so if a prelims question comes, on what basis it will come, Pratyusha? On e-rupee.
Who is the developing authority?
Is it important? Why? Because Pratyusha said so. Then
Regarding, like, I think there were questions regarding BEAM also.
very good. NCPI has been repeatedly asked by UPSC, National Payment Corporation of India. NPCI is a parent body for UPI platform, right? And it is also parent body for e-rupee. Yes. Is it a Indian government body?
No, sir. It's a private.
It's not private.
I mean, it's private as. I mean, private as in, I
The
remember
common
it kind of.
organizations came and made this one platform.
All what organizations?
SBI.
All
Commercial
banks.
banks.
All Indian banking associations. Indian banking association came to create National Payment Corporation of India. Okay. Is RBI member?
No, sir.
SBI is not a member.
Okay. So you understand the basic triviality, right? There are 3 previous year questions. One is UPI, the other one is NPCI. Now the logical extension is e-rupee. E-rupee is last year current affairs also, but this time also it is in the news because government has extended the e-rupee value to around 1 lakh rupees, I think. Okay. So the trivialities apart, you have to remember what is NPCI, who are the members of NPCI, how do they function, okay, and what is the specialty or trivialities of e-rupee. The most important thing in e-rupee is it does not require internet connection. See, again, it's a misnomer. At the end of the day, one part or the other, you need internet connection, but for it to function, it does not need internet. I will give a voucher, QR code to Santosh. Okay, he will go to a particular shop. Does Santosh need internet connection? No. The shop wala scanning it
Needs
needs it. When he scans it, he will get the amount and he will give certain amount of goods to Santosh. Say for example, I have given him a voucher for food. He will go to that food store. He will take it for only food. Okay. So the advantage is it is tagged. That means Santosh is supposed to only get it for food. Food only. He cannot use the same voucher for health. So they will probably use the mechanism to filter. Okay, if I give it for food, people are buying alcohol. I can reduce the triviality. Even private sector companies can give the e-rupee. Yes, no. Can private sector issue e-rupee?
Issuing e-rupee.
Private companies, sorry, private what? Private organizations. I'm a private organization. As a welfare benefit, I'm giving it to my employee. Is it valid? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Vouchers. So if I call it vouchers, people may not understand it. So what I did is e-rupee. Actually, CBDC should be e-rupee. Yes or no? Central bank digital currency should be e-rupee. This should be some voucher-based scheme. But people will confuse. So what I smartly did is call it as e-rupee. I'm making people get used to this voucher system. Health, education, private employee giving health benefits. Say for example, you work under me, you have a health issue. I have to give you health benefits. So what will I do? I will ask you what is the bill? Insurance, including everything, sir, 42,000 rupees. So I have given a voucher to say, for example, XYZ, 42,000 rupees. And he or she can use it only in that particular any hospital for 42,000 rupees only, for medical purposes only. It does not work elsewhere. Right, so automatically I will come to know, right, where you have used that voucher. So it is a it is basic understanding. Okay, so e-rupee reduces that friction, and it is also to address the infrastructural gap. Not everybody has smartphones. It's no, it's like a preloaded QR code. Okay, one time use. So that these are the major things that you need to remember for e-rupee. Again, as I said, this can be thrown into long-term economy evergreen topic. Long-term. How do we make India a less cash economy? E-rupee can be promoted, but I think e-rupee in the long run will fail spectacularly. Why?
They can misuse it.
Not misuse. People have to use it. Again, people have to get used to this smartphone things, or have to make the infrastructure very affordable. Again, adaptation might be a problem. See, I might lose a voucher. It is fixed to your name. Nobody else can use it. Okay, if you remember our discussion, I told you, right? I will go to the shop. You will ask my Aadhaar card. The name on the e-voucher and Aadhaar card should match. Only then the e-rupee will be scanned. So I can reduce a lot of corruption by all these things. But again, the voucher system and all these things, I haven't seen the adaptation very quickly. If it is adapted by people, it would have been a super success by now.
But instead of this, people would start having smartphones only in the long run.
Again, to make it affordable, to make it cheaper. See, even people with Nokia phones, Africa people have adapted e-rupee fantastically. Yes, USSD codes. If you remember the normal Nokia phones, I can send an SMS and the money will be transferred. *#06# you get the IMEI code, something like that, right? So all these are USSD codes. Your SMS charging, send one to get balance, send two to get the balance. Even that can. So your Aadhaar link to bank account link to your phone number, you can use a USSD to transfer the money. So because in 2016 when UPI came, I clearly understood that UPI is going to be a super duper success. In 2016 when people were not even aware of UPI, the adaptation was very bad, high failure rate. 9 out of the 10 times it will fail to deliver the money. It was risky, not secured, the apps were insecure, a lot of problems were there. But still then I understood how the logic works, and I thought like this will be a grand success one day, given that people, and it was success. It was a success. Why? People adapted. Just like me, everybody who is in the field understood how things are going to change. PhonePe came into the market. I clearly remember one of my friends saying this. When Google Pay was introduced in India, he sent a message, don't use Google Pay. Yeah, Rupee, what is that? Phone Pay is Indian company. Don't encourage Google Pay. That very day I told him, just see in the long run, Google Pay will be like super duper success. No matter how hard you try, Google Pay will be more adapted. And because of Google Pay, UPI is a super success. Okay. Why? Pre-installed. Every Android phone will have Google Pay. So I have reduced already the friction. I don't have to install Beam, Phone Pay or any app. Already Google Pay is there. Not only that, he is giving funds. Yes or no? He's giving token money. Rupee, 2 rupees. No, not even that. I mean, saturation has already reached. So that kind of momentum I haven't seen in Europe. Maybe I'm wrong, but the grassroots level it is working. I don't know, but I haven't seen a lot of success. Okay. Phone Pay, QR code, right? Digital beggar. That is both something to be, we laugh at and at the same time to be sad at. If a beggar can, identify himself using a QR code, okay, why not identify all such fellows and push them to not only employment, old age homes, shelter homes. The state has to take care of them. We can take care of them, right? Yes. We can throw them into ashrams.
I also thought like that, but then I feel like they may have interested in roaming. If they are submitted to that one ashram or something, they need to live there only.
Okay.
Like,
According to Bombay Bakers Act, if ashram is better. Then even real. So I told you, right? There was a old age home where former Chief Justice of India went. Did I tell you that story? It's a gut wrenching story. I can't forget it. 42 people were in that old age home. I don't remember it's a shelter home or a mental health institute. Okay, 42 people are there, and there was a single toothbrush. That is a condition that inhumanness of the people. Just imagine, right? So when we see people on the roadside, the destitute and all these things, okay, there are people who are thrown out by their own families. They have mental health issues. Yeah.
Even I went to an orphanage where the girl was thrown out after the death of her family, like father and mother.
Her
The other
relatives
fam-
must have thrown her out.
In the orphanage.
Exactly. And we have lost touch with apathy, right? In the COVID pandemic, what happened to all such people? We hardly don't know. We literally don't know, right? I mean, what happened to the orphans in COVID pandemic? No one knows. We don't know the abuses that they must have gone through. A lot of things are there. So all these are. We have lost touch with apathy. Again, there is no point in discussing it in depth. But the only solution is people don't beg by choice. So no, nobody actually begs by choice. If we show them some care, concern, and all those things, most of them can be rehabilitated into something or the other. That is why I say SOS is a very good concept. SOS village system, where the elders who are thrown out of the homes are linked with orphans. Both of them will have a kind of family, right? Orphans will have someone to guide to, and senior citizens will have someone to take care of. So SOS villages are created. Even outside the Hyderabad, you have SOS village where all those senior citizens who are, destitute and all these things, they will be brought in, senior citizens. At the same time, orphans will also be in the same village. So these people have experience. These people don't have anyone to talk to. So when they both mingle, at least some kind of guidance will be there. So it creates a bonding. It creates an ecosystem, right? So SOS is a nice concept. Okay. Now, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. You must have heard about it hundreds of times. Fasal Bima Yojana. What does it do?
Insurance.
Insurance scheme to farmers, crops. Okay.
To what crops is it given?
Okay.
Is post-harvest cover?
Hmm. To what crops is it given?
Interest rate.
Interest rate, premium rate.
Premium rate.
Premium rate to different crops is different.
Yes.
So does anyone remember?
Yes, so for Rabi crops it was less.
Hmm.
For Kharif it was high.
Hmm. Numbers, please.
Numbers are something too difficult.
Kharif crops 5, Rabi crops 3. So your logic is correct. Will you put it correct? No. Kharif more, Rabi less. You remember the same. I gave 5 and 3. 5 is more, 3 is less. Logic suits. Okay.
I think that previously the option was like all crops.
All crops. Okay. All crops, definitely wrong. All is not correct. So when you read Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, the first thing you need to remember is the premiums for different crops is different. For Kharif, it's 2, Rabi 1.5, horticulture is 5%. So the premiums that you have to pay on the basis of the crop is that much amount. Okay. And central government will pay the rest of the money. So that is a very important thing that government is doing. It is creating an ecosystem where it is promoting the culture of insurance. Not all crops in India are covered under insurance. So what is the government doing? Promoting the culture of insurance. People will realize one day, because my crop was insured, something happened, but I still got the entire money. So it will save the farmers from suicides. It will break them from the clutches of middlemen. It will promote financial inclusion. It will also give proper idea for the government for compensations, right?
Insurance flow of credit.
Basically, the circle will be going on. The cycle won't be broken down. If insurance money is not received by the farmer, what will happen? He will go into debt, from there to suicides. Okay, so such kind of thought process is important for understanding Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Next is risks covered under the scheme. What are covered? What are not covered? Okay. So the first point is, if I give you storms, cyclones, drought, okay, or diseases, and then if I give you yield, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sounds logical. Crop yields, crop yield means the amount of food grains I'm rationality or normal thinking says it should not be under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. But actually that is the first point. Yield losses are the first thing that are covered under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Okay. The next is your natural fire, lightning. We know again the fire is natural. It should not be artificial. It should not be man-made. Somebody burned down your crop. Sorry, not covered under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Okay. Next, flood, inundation, and landslides. They are also covered. Last one is pests and diseases. Right? Locust attack. Locust attack. You remember locust attack, right?
Yes,
So that
sir.
can be technically pests. Next. What are not covered? When it is not covered? War, nuclear risk, riot, grazed or destroyed by wild animals. So elephant attack. It's a common thing, right? In some parts. Wildlife protection. Sorry.
Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana.
Okay, so you have to just remember this. See, these are things one time if you read, it will stuck in your brain. You might find it very trivial, but what if you see that hatke point, that unique point, okay, this is not covered. It's not that easy to forget. At least your brain will remind you it's not correct. Clear? Yes. So again, the focus is you don't do this kind of triviality to thousands of schemes. There are around 300 to 400 government schemes. You should not do this kind of depth to all the topics. There are only 100 or 150 topics where this kind of depth is good. The rest all Project Ahat, human trafficking done. One line, single line, Project Ahat, human trafficking. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, you go in depth, I will also answer. Yes or no? There you remember ministry, department, all the trivialities, totally worth your time. Why? Probability is very high, a question might come. Narega, yes. National Green Tribunal, yes. As much triviality as possible, yes. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Ayushman Bharat, yes. Yes or no? Electoral bonds, yes, worth your time. You remember the triviality in the electoral bond scheme?
Yes.
What is unique triviality? Among the trivialities, what is unique triviality?
It's about amount.
There's no limit of the amount.
1
It's
crore,
in
right?
It's in 1,000 multiples of
Multiples of 1,000 to 100 to 1 crore, or 1,000 to 1 crore? 1,000 to 1. Of all the trivialities, one triviality is very important.
but the name is the name of the
It is related to something we have discussed today.
it's not covered under RTI.
So is PM Cares Fund.
That can't do it.
CAG can't audit it. Okay. Anonymity, everybody knows, right? It provides anonymity. If the electoral bond is not redeemed in 15 days, it is donated to PM Cares Fund. If electoral bond is purchased and not redeemed in 15 days, it is given to PM Cares Fund. PM Cares is something we have discussed today. That is how you interlink. You understand? Triviality. Of all the trivialities, if I purchase an electoral bond, you don't know that.
Was it made recently, sir? Because electoral bonds came earlier and then came PM Cares.
PM Cares Fund or PM Relief Fund? I think PM Relief Fund. Some PM Fund. It will be donated to PM Relief Fund. Sorry, not PM Cares. It will be donated to PM Relief Fund. Okay. So you understand, right? Of all the trivialities within the electoral bond scheme, you have to look at that particular thing, because anonymous, everybody knows. KYC. Is KYC compulsory for electoral bonds?
Yes.
Can Umang walk into a SBI branch in Delhi, dedicated branch, give cash and purchase electronic bonds? Sorry, election bonds. Can Umang do that? She cannot, because either it should be in DD format or in check format. No cash purchase of electoral bonds. So such kind of trivial detail has to be remembered. So from now, again, as I told you, if you have fixed material, tear that electoral bond, keep it at one place. PM Fasal Bima Yojana, put it at one place. Like this, 150 topics will be there. Read them again and again and again. You don't have to go by months wise, years wise. Sir, I'm reading from January. You are reading from January, but you don't know anything in National Food Security Act. 0 points. Point. If a question comes, you won't forget. Okay, I will tell you the trivialities. 2016 or 17 prelims, there was a question. Insurance-based scheme. If the husband is insured, okay, he passed away. Will that insurance go to the wife or not?
What kind of insurance?
The pension. If the husband is under pension, okay, if he dies, will the pension go to the wife? That was the triviality that UPSC have asked. Okay, but the logic is almost all pensions will halve and go into the wife's account. Sorry, that's universal rule. So using general common sense, we could have answered that question. That means it has nothing to do with the scheme, but you understand the triviality, right? If husband is getting 40,000 rupees pension, if he passes away, the wife will get 20,000 rupees. That is general universal rule. Okay, so that is why focus on few schemes, focus on them perfectly. It will reward you. Hatke schemes, hatke points are rarely asked by UPSC. People fail because they look at all the shiny things, the glittering things. Oh, this is scheme, that material, this material, and ignore the basics. MP lads, National Food Security Act, Right to Education Act. These are the repeated topics. Okay. Again, PYQs.
Yes, I did. It's a
PYC question. It's a benchmark for your growth. Yesterday, I told you about GIHAS. I hope you have read about GIHAS. No, that's why I added it to today's PDF. I have full trust in people. You haven't, right? Because you are busy being busy. I'm telling you, there is nothing new. For the next 10 batches also, it's like, psychologically same to same. Nothing will change. From Kanyakumari to Kashmir, I have students all over the country. Everybody same attitude. Yesterday, a student called me and said, "Sir, I'm reading ancient history. And the questions are not coming from ancient history. So what should I do?" I purchased a new material from a new site. Okay. So I said, you're chasing 700-page book for 2 questions. And you're ignoring the 5 questions that is coming from standard textbook. Is it commonsensical? Commonsensical? Chasing 2? Not commonsensical, right? For 2 questions, you're reading a 700. Ego. Those 2 questions, why won't I get? I will read them. Yes or no? UPSC itself is officially saying, get 50 questions net correct, you are in the game. That means 50 questions if you don't know also, it's okay. Net 50 questions, understand, right? People are struggling to get 50 questions correct. Where does your ego even come into the picture? The smartest people in India who are already in the service, who gave the exam multiple times, they themselves are struggling to get 55, 110. So that means they are officially saying, sir, I don't know 45 questions. Okay, I'm just guessing them. They are negatives. Still, I'm somehow clearing luckily. They are accepting it. So there is no scope for ego, right? All we have to do is master the existing things perfectly. The next trivial test will become very, very easy. GIHAS. Saffron heritage. Koraput traditional agriculture. Kuttanad. Below sea level farming. These 3 are called as globally important heritage, agricultural heritage systems. See, this is an old current affairs. I'm not saying it's something new or unique, but the thing is, it's basic. You are supposed to know it. If I talk about climate smart agriculture, you need to know about GIHAS. If I talk about sustainable agriculture, you need to know about GIHAS. Important. Is Kashmir saffron under GA tag?
No, sir. I remember only that shawls from Kashmir.
How many GA tags are there? Like number. There are 300 plus. There are 300 plus GA tags in the country. So you humanly cannot remember everything, but at least very, very important ones you can remember. Yes, GA tags. Saffron, Kashmir saffron is under geographical indication. It is eligible for GA, right? Even by sheer common sense, we can eliminate. Why do we call it as Kashmir saffron? I can go saffron in Hyderabad in my basement also. Yes or no? But it is Kashmir saffron. There is some uniqueness because of the geography. Okay.
Then Kashmir red mist powder is also there.
I'm not so sure, but yes, it has a unique feature that it gives a red color.
Color is red.
It adds more color to the dish. Yes, probably they have applied it. I'm not sure. They might get GI tag.
So if something is old current affair and you must know it, how will we know it?
Static book.
In a static book, the old current affair will not be there.
It is there. Bring Shankar, I will show you.
Like it is there.
That is what I'm saying, right? See, they are not mad to call it as first edition, second edition, third edition, right? When they say it's third edition, that means they have added something new. Okay. And what is so special about Gihas? This particular line. Gihas is a living, evolving system of human communities in an intricate relationship with their territory, cultural or agricultural landscape, or biophysical and wider social environment. They are not changing the ecosystem, they are adapting to the ecosystem. And it's a living, organic, evolving system. Nobody is suffering. Okay, so if you remember your environment classes or environment textbooks, there is a chart, 6 types of relationships: symbiotic, parasitic. Yes.
Yes.
So symbiotic. So mostly Gihas relations are symbiotic relationships. I hope it's win-win scenario for both. It is good for the fish, it is good for the farmer. Both of them are living together, benefiting. Okay. So a crane and a buffalo.
Crane and a buffalo.
Crane on a buffalo. What kind of relationship is that?
There is no effect on the cow and the buffalo,
Hmm.
but the crane is happy eating the insects
Bugs.
on the cow.
Okay.
One positive, one negative.
Bat and a buffalo.
Bat and a buffalo.
Vampire bats.
Never heard about it.
Vampire bat.
Bats. If it is also sitting on
If it is drinking the buffalo's blood,
it.
that is parasitic, right?
Yes, sir.
That is why they are called as vampire bats.
Logic.
Okay. So there are 6, right? Common, symbiotic.
Parasitic.
Hmm.
Commensalism.
Hmm.
Commensalism.
Some ism. Okay.
Commensalism.
Amenism. Okay.
Oh.
Amenalism.
Commensalism. Predation or something.
Mhm.
One is parasitism and predation. They both are same.
Same. Then why
Yes.
are there 2 different things?
One is related to bacteria and fungi.
Hmm.
That is
That is found where? It's in static textbook. So you need to master it. That is what I told you, right? If tomorrow UPSC asks simple question like what kind of relationship is this? We need to know. If somebody is affected and you are benefiting, then that is parasitic behavior. If someone is not having any effect, the buffalo is having 0 impact if a crane is sitting on it, but the crane is happy to sit on the buffalo to eat all the bugs. So who is benefited? The crane. Technically speaking, the crane. Buffalo, again, it will go into the mud, everything will be solved. It does not need the crane's help. Yes or no? Going by the same logic, I hope you haven't seen the global warming potential also. You have seen? Same book. Why not turn few pages more than?
where is Gihas and Shankara?
No, it is. I will show you. I think it
It's
must
an
be
agriculture topic.
probably. It's
Very good.
or it must be in the list. We'll see. I will show you. Okay. Yeah. Global warming potential. You must have read. Yes. See, this global warming potential is not fixed. It keeps on evolving. This is most of the data you see in the materials is 2001 IPCC report data. So even IPCC keeps on updating the global warming potential, but summary is more or less the same things. What is the average lifetime of a carbon dioxide molecule that you release? 50 to 200 years. What is the damage? 1. Methane, short lifespan comparatively, but its damage is more. Nitrous oxide, both high. It lives for a long time, its damage is also very high. Okay. So like this, you have to remember the basic things. This is also static, not actually current affairs. This you should remember perfectly. Clear? So I hope you understood how or what kind of triviality you should focus. Not everything given in the material is equally important. We put there because we have to cover the macro theme to make some sense. But within that, you need to pick up the specific parts. Only when you pick up those trivialities, highlight hardcore points, you will remember them for long term. Okay. I hope you got some perspective. We'll remember how to read things from now on. Not every line is important. If you see project something, what is it? Katam done.
Then we'll forget it.
Revise.
Oh,
Multiple times you heard. That is why you write down all the one-liners you write down in a book.
even one-liners we need to remember.
One-liners you have to write in a book. These you have to revise material again and again. Okay, got the difference? Yes. So when you solve the mocks, also current affairs test series, there also we will find the similar questions covering the most important areas.
This year the question was tribal forest act which ministry?
Hmm.
You said just one.
But why that question was asked?
Tribal-
Forest Rights Act, right?
Yes, sir.
Why was that question asked? Because Supreme Court judgment came. So last year, at least for 6 months, Forest Rights Act was in the news. So it's so good in the news like anything. It was continuously in the news. People knew that question front and back. Triviality. Forest Rights Act is an evergreen topic. We have to remember it both for prelims, mains, and interview purpose. Not only that, last year it was in the news for 6 months. 6 months is a huge time in UPSC. People forgot. That is why they have. In the starting, everybody will read, right? For 6 months, who will remember the topic? So that is where the problem came. Okay. Got the idea?
So, but in the tribal question, the answer is there in the question itself. So why did they ask that?
Sometimes we get confused. It may not be tribal ministry, it may be revenue ministry. It may be some other ministry. For example, white collar crimes of Money Laundering Act. So under which ministry? Prevention of Money Laundering Act comes
Home
under which
Ministry.
ministry? Home Ministry. Why? All security related things are done by Ministry of Home Affairs. But prevention of money laundering comes under Ministry of Finance. Going by our common sense, we might, Telugu idiom, Papulo Kalestam. Yes or no? All security related issues are taken care by Ministry of Home Affairs. But prevention of money laundering actually comes under Ministry of Finance. Simple. So why did they ask that question? Because we have too much trust in our common sense. And as Daniel Kahneman says in Thinking Fast and Slow, our common sense is worst. We should never believe it. Okay.
But UPSC tests are common.
Exactly. If UPSC asked your question, if UPSC asked that question, there must be some logic behind it. If it was that obvious, Ministry of Tribal Forest Rights Act comes under Ministry of Tribal Welfare. Either you will do two things. Either
But the answer was tribal.
you overthink. Yes or no? In the exam hall, don't you overthink?
No,
If such a silly question UPSC is asking, why will it ask? You will overthink and you will get it wrong.
The question attempted thinking that
Some gafla is there, but that gafla may or may not be there. So everything is mind game in UPSC. It's Cadbury's ad, right? Laddu kavala one. So inkoka laddu ka. So if UPSC is giving me 4 marks, beware of the Greeks that comes with gifts. You must have heard that idiom, right? Beware of the Greeks who comes with gifts. The Trojan story example. In the same way, if the first 2 questions in UPSC prelims are like take 3 questions, 2 marks, then I will actually suspect something is wrong. Yes or no? It might drive me into overconfidence. Then starts the real drama. Gone case. Okay. Yes. So I hope you will remember all these things. UPSC simple mind game exam. You have to be ready on day 1. Okay. Yes. We'll continue the discussion tomorrow. Yes. I hope you are reading nicely.